Hey y'all, Kimology here to do an exhibit to tell you about what it's been like since I've been home from the trip about Dooder. The last video I did was about what it was like coming home from that trip, and now it's home day 7, Dooder day 21, and part of me wonders like, when am I gonna stop counting? One of the first days into this, someone actually told me don't count the days that he's gone, and a very well-intended, like most of these things are, but they feel shitty when people say stuff like that. And actually still trying not to say I recently started reading a book on grief, and some of what is in there resonates with me about why those things feel so shitty. About, if you've been following for a while, you know I've said things like, please don't send me the cliche sayings, and some of what's in the book speaks to some of the feelings I have about that, and I thought I was really alone on those feelings, so it's been nice. Anyway, so someone had told me to stop counting or not count, and that pretty much pissed me off, even though I know it was coming from a really nice, well-intentioned place. So I think I'll probably talk more about that, not that one instance, but the theme of that. But for now, for today's exhibit, it's about what it's been like since I've got home. And I think at first I felt just to like be home. I consider myself really a homebody. I do really love to travel, and I really wanted to be on that trip. And even while I was on the trip, I wasn't really ready to come home, and I did share about that. And simultaneously, I like to be home. My home is my sanctuary. In times in my life when I haven't had that, it's been a really big deal, and so being home was important to me. And so I did things like putter, which is like a thing I do, and I tended to the plants. That was actually the very first thing I did. Joey did a good job with the plants. I don't think anything got killed, but they definitely needed some nurturing and my kind of attention, and just to see like what had grown in the outside yard. It was cool because when I got back, some things had come back, like perennials had come back, and I got out my notebook and I did the page where I do the plant page, and I document what came back that's a perennial and what year it's from and stuff like that, and then seeing what didn't come back. And it's those little things that are poignant. Even like sharing back about it now, just the idea that one of my sages didn't come back, and to tell you about that from when I felt it days ago, and about the not coming back part and how it immediately relates to Dooder and his death. And might be a good time to go ahead and tell you about some of those things. It's like you're going through your day. This morning, for instance, I pulled out this Tupperware container that we reuse, and it ended up being one of the ones that we used a lot for the homemade dog food. And I used masking tape to label stuff, and the masking tape said food for the boys, and I started crying, and I didn't take the tape off. I left it there, but just the sight of it was like, there aren't boys anymore, there's just one, and there used to be two. And those things happen many times a day, like seeing things that are something that reminds you of what is gone. And I'm not rushing through this process, so if you're tired of hearing about this stuff, go away because I'm not trying to get over it fast and be done with it. I'm striving to create space for it to exist and to be really present with it. I don't want to be that person who 3, 5, 10 years from now tells a story that goes like, yeah, I'm still not over it, in a way that means like I can't deal with it or I didn't want to talk about it. And nothing is wrong. Well, I don't know if I could say that actually. I just don't want to be that person. I'm not necessarily condemning you if that is you. And I don't want that. I don't want to be burying something and not being present with what it is now. I actually don't want to go back to normal life. I don't, whatever that even means, like such a nasty thing to say, normal life. It feels gross to me. I don't want that. That's not what I'm aiming for. So, again, with sorry, I am working on that. Maybe the more I say I'm working on it is the working on it that will eventually lead to stopping doing it. So the tangent I just said was about the things that pop up throughout a day, and I actually want to go ahead and put a pin in that because I want that to be like a whole topic or write or something. So getting home, I initially felt just to be like in my space and present. Before the plants as the first thing I did, the first thing I did was go back to being at the grave. That was one of the things that I had a small hesitation about leaving, because I didn't want to leave where he was in his essence. And as soon as he was in the ground, I knew I wanted to be going there. And so the idea to be gone and not able to go there is part of why I took that rock with me. I went down there that morning, and my mom didn't quite know the full story. Sometimes I think that things translate in what I share, and sometimes it doesn't. And so she didn't understand, and maybe you didn't either, but that rock, I went down there the morning that I was leaving. I looked, I wanted to take something. I looked and I immediately saw a triangle rock. And if you've been following, you know triangles are important to me. So the fact that I saw this triangle rock that morning that I was leaving was special. So I took that rock with me everywhere I went, and that was part of my response to not really wanting to leave him, not be in proximity to him in the ground. So since I've been back, I've definitely gone there every morning. It's I'd say it's a new part of the morning things that I do. So I was glad to have that. I was glad to be back in proximity with that. And I did make some notes before this, which is, again, I did that last time, and then I did it again this time. And last time I didn't even look until the end, and then I realized I covered everything. But this time I have felt something about not having done this sooner. Like, I want to share the experience, and something felt like I don't know, I just hadn't, and that was starting to wear on me because I want to. So doing this 7 days after getting home, I had felt something about that. Other things we did, we had bagel sandwiches for several days because I brought that stuff back. The first full day back was the day that I did the dinner with my mom and Joey to tell them about the trip, and that so they could answer the questions, which I had mentioned in the coming home part that was going to be a thing. And after that, I think I felt like I wanted to I still wanted to be very isolated. Like, I didn't want to be doing stuff. But I was met with, like, people wanted to see me, and I had to decide, like, do I want to do this or do I not want to do this? And it felt different. I mean, I always work on, do I really want to be doing this? And I strive to only do what I really want to do. And that feels even more significant to me now that, I mean, it might sound silly to someone, but the fact that Dooder died is a poignant reminder of death. And as soon as it was happening or happened, I knew I wanted to use it to infuse my life or change my life or improve and illuminate, whatever. Like, that's what I wanted. I knew that. And what's interesting is this book I started reading is talking about that we do grief wrong, and this idea that we transform grief or have this transformative growth experience isn't necessarily right or good, and right and good are loose terms there, but it is the one I mostly am liking the book, but there's that part about it that I wonder about, because I wonder, am I missing something, or is it that that was right and good for me? Because I immediately felt that about it. So to say that I came home and wanted to be alone and really trying to be discerning about not doing shit I don't want to do it to an even higher level than I already preach and practice. So when I got a text from a friend that was like, I'd really like to see you and tell you about what's been significant in my life and hear about your trip. My first feeling was that I didn't want to do it, and those feelings of should and deciphering the shoulds that are like the good shoulds and the bad shoulds. So anyway, I ended up going, and later that day I very ironically ran into someone I hadn't seen in years, and I looked over the chip aisle in a local convenience store, and it was someone I would never expect to see in like this little dinky convenience store. And I was there to get beer to go to the river after I had gone to see this friend. And I look over the chip aisle, and this person you would never expect to see there, and I was like, holy fuck, and said his name. And then we proceeded to get beer and go to the river and talk for a few hours after having not seen each other for years. And that to me was kind of like maybe a sign that I should be seeing people, because I don't know when I would have made the effort to reach out and out of nowhere been like, okay, let's do this lunch we've been talking about for years now. But the fact that I saw him in this random place on this day that I was already out, it just, I don't know, it felt like a thing. I am glad it happened. So after that, I just felt like it was a very social time. Like, saw the friend that I leaned into doing when I didn't really want to, saw another person, and then the dinner before that, and then Joey had wanted to take me on a date on a Saturday, so another like very external time. He's generally excluded from the social homebody stuff, although I do really like alone time. That does include, not like he's not a part of my alone time, but the other part he's mostly an exception to. And then it was Costco on Sunday, and so it was just like a lot of external stuff that I wasn't really wanting to do, but I did. And that's what the time's been like. It's been like thinking about what I really want, and if it's to be internal. And then part of it too has been that the messy thought that I am gonna share in the next video, and not this one, but I did share it with my mom and Joey at the dinner. And part of that thought is that I lost connection to my intuition and authenticity in a really important time where I'm wondering if that's what happened. So to have that thought that then led to something that felt wrong or bad, and then to now, again, with like the things I already do, but being like, I want to really be clear about, am I here? Am I doing what I really want to be doing? Am I following my intuition and my authenticity? Am I connected? What are the words that I want to represent that feeling? So the idea of like doing shit I don't want to do is like especially significant to me right now, and really trying not to do those things. So that stuff has been a big part of it. And then also the paintings, like I wanted to have them finished at the beach, and I didn't. And then I was able to fairly easily shift to letting myself do them once I got home. But I spent multiple more days and hours finishing them, meaning I wrote little notes on every one of them. And then, yeah, they were just special and very personalized for me. And so finally, I spent all day on that on Monday pretty much. And then because I knew that the post office would be closed, and then I couldn't do anything with them until Tuesday. And then on Tuesday was my next outing, and I think it was like 20 some, I ended up mailing like 23 snail mail pieces. 23, and mailed them out on Tuesday, and that felt really good. And I think that was the final thing to feel closed, if it was going to feel closed about the trip, was finishing those paintings that felt special and important to me that I wanted to give to these people, and sending them off. And now they're like on their way, and they're out of my hands, and that's the most done I think it will feel for me. So that was definitely significant. What I haven't done is I haven't gone hiking. I haven't been to my mountain, which is kind of interesting. I think I didn't go Thursday because that was like home, and then I had the family, the dinner commit with my mom and Joey. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I think it was just because I didn't want to fucking be anywhere near Harper's Ferry holiday weekend, like my least favorite thing to have happen is to be wanting to be on my mountain and have my mountain crowded with people who do the like walking 3 wide on a fucking trail, don't have their dogs on the leash, carrying their boom boxes and the Bluetooth. Like all of my pet peeves rolled into a crowded space on my mountain was not where I wanted to be. So in one way it feels weird that I haven't been there yet, and the other hand it doesn't at all, because I basically only had yesterday to go, and yesterday I did the errands to wrap up the trip with the paintings and stuff, so it doesn't feel, I mean, clearly I could have gone, but I didn't. So actually I think I'm gonna go today, and I think it's the having been home, figuring out like where do I want to go, who do I want to see, what don't I want to do, getting the paintings finished, and then some of these things that I felt like needed to be done. And then today, I think, and then this video is in part of that too. It's like I really wanted to do this. So I think after this, I'm actually gonna go hike. It'll be the first time since I've been home. What else? The paintings were significant. The time has been significant. Bagel sandwiches, the grave, plant tending. Joey didn't kill anything. Oh, I've been to the gym. I haven't been to the gym in 2 months. That was significant. I think part of it was because of how homebound I felt to be with Dooder, that I would hike over anything else, because I generally do prefer to be outside and to be hiking than lifting or being inside the gym. And so I went with Joey for the first time a couple days ago, and have since been 1 or 2 other times and lifting again, and it feels good. I actually feel I'm in a pretty typical place, I think, for this time of year for myself. I do see patterns, and when you document your life the way I do, you can see that stuff. I feel about as heavier than I want to be as I usually am around this time of year. And so one of the other things that has been on my mind from the Dooder stuff, how I was saying, I really want this to be for change in my life. And so coming home and not wanting to go back to normalcy, but also feeling a little like unclear about what I want to change, and feeling sad or resistant when I notice myself just falling into old patterns, or having not clarified or distinguished or decided what things I'm going to do differently quickly enough or clearly enough, or whatever it is that I think or I want it to be, and having not done that. That being said, it's still very present and there, and one thing I know that I am lining up to do is to do a body focus. You know, it's funny, in one of my writes, I wrote something about like, and she's getting bigger around here, and I think what I meant by the way I said it was like the mood or energy was getting bigger, but someone read it and thought I meant that I was actually gaining weight, because I wasn't being as active, and caretaking can have that role. You either are less active and eating more, or eating less and whatever. But he thought it meant that, and I was like, it's not what I meant, and it is accurate. And I don't know that it's accurate because of caretaking and being home. It's just like I think this is about what it's like for me at this time of year, like I said. So anyway, I'm lining up to do a body focus and a health focus, and that includes all manner of consumption, food and drink. So feeling that in this time, and there's a full moon coming, and there's another new moon after that. So I like to do lineups of significant things and times. So that kind of something is happening in my mind. I'm also considering doing another guided challenge. I think I'll share separately about that. But the last one I did, I actually canceled, and that was a big deal. So yeah, I'm gonna pin that and maybe do a share about that separately. What else? Things tripping me up, like the Tupperware container today. Another thing that's been like that is canned pumpkin. There's this can of pumpkin. I was giving Dooder pumpkin for a variety of reasons. One was, at one point he hadn't pooped, and pumpkin is supposed to help with that. He was doing fine at the end, but yeah, just to say it that way at the end. So this pumpkin hadn't been finished, and when I left, Joey became the primary person coordinating the meals, and I had been the one that was making the dog food mostly. So poor Duck went from very much homemade, mostly protein and veggie meals, back to mostly dry food with maybe an egg on it, which is very not what he was getting. So I felt bad about that. But anyway, this pumpkin, I think Joey and I both felt like it wasn't right to give Duck the pumpkin for some reason. Although while we were doing the food for both of them, Duck would get the same thing that Dooder got, just usually in different quantities. So it was weird. And the pumpkin's still in the fridge. And yesterday when I was doing cleaning and stuff, I thought about, okay, it's time to let the pumpkin go. And it wasn't. I took a picture of it and then put it back in the fridge. Like, can't let the can of pumpkin go yet. Don't want to. Not going to. Can of pumpkin's gonna be there for a while. So that's another like thing tripping me up type thing. And I'll say a little bit more about Duck, and then I think I've covered what I want to share with you. So about Duck, I have thought, people have asked like how is he doing with it, and mostly I think I haven't noticed any difference, meaning I don't think he's like walking around looking for Dooder. I think I have noticed he seems, well, I don't want to say it that way. I think he's a nervous person, beast body being. He seems like a nervous, I'm looking over there because he's on the couch, so he's not nervous right now, he's laying like sleeping, but I think he's probably always been this way, right? Like right now I've been seeing him as like more needy. He's like literally up my ass no matter where I go in the house. Like if I got up right now and went to the bedroom, he would know. He would get up and he would come with me. And he probably was always doing that, but maybe it was because I had Dooder here too that I didn't notice it as much. It was like broken up or dispersed in some way. But now that it's just he and I at the house a lot since I've been home, he seems like extra needy. And my awareness is that he probably isn't different. It's probably me noticing him differently. I felt like Duck wasn't getting as much of attention as he should, or I wanted him to be getting at some of the parts of when Dooder was still alive. And I felt like he was also getting the brunt of some frustration and lack of attention, and we weren't working on things, like I wasn't doing as much training. And so part of this time has been thinking, going in that direction, putting more energy there, focusing on that, more time with him. And then I have shared a story about how in the morning when I go down to Dooder's grave, I say, let's go see Dooder. You want to go see Dooder? And he comes and we go. Sometimes we all go. If Joey's here, he'll go with me. If he's awake, sometimes he's gone and I go anyway. Sometimes we all go, sometimes it's just me. One more thing to share, I think, is that I have felt some, I don't know if I'd call it resistance, but we'll use that word for now, for watching these videos. I haven't watched them. So the ones that I shared from the trip when I got back, or about coming back, I haven't gone back and watched them, as well as the ones I was doing before that. And I think it's because I want to continue sharing and not be influenced by what I may have already said. And that's really interesting because mostly I have always felt, especially in my sharing in my work, I want to be congruent and consistent. And like the fact that I can't just start something without giving you some big backstory, all of that is in that, what I mean by the container of wanting to be congruent and consistent. So usually I would watch or read whatever was the last thing that I shared, and I call that orienting to it, so that I can have that reference, even if the thing that I'm talking about is entirely different, but to orient to where I last was. And for some reason I have felt actively to not do that. So when I prepare to do this, I don't go back and watch the video first or look at what was there. So that's just been interesting. And there have been some things that I could go look at, like the last, I think there's about 3 or 4 exhibits that I've recorded that I hadn't published before Dooder died, and I haven't gone back to do those yet. And they're on my mind to do, and there's something there about like, I don't know, like articulate it yet, but there's something about not wanting to hear or observe myself from the last days of when he was alive. I don't know what that is. I know that I want to, but it hasn't been like, meaning I want to in general, not that I never want to, but something about doing it right now doesn't feel right or good. It's not what I want to do. So I'm trusting that, but it is very interesting to me. And it feels like it could be seen or called avoidant, but it doesn't feel like that is what it is to me. But perhaps it's an avoidant for a good reason. So that's why I don't consider it avoidant, because avoidant is usually paired with like a negative thing. So that's what's been going on. That's what it's been like coming back from this trip. I wanted to create massive or big or significant change using this pain to transform, to create, and I have felt like I haven't done that, and that doesn't feel great. And when I said that to Joey, he was like, are you kidding me? Like, you shared this, you've been writing every day, you've been doing this and that and this. And then when he said it like that, I was like, oh, I guess I've been doing some stuff. But you know, for me, with my standard up here, or my vision and ideas over here, whatever I've done, I guess isn't enough. And whether that's a good, bad, or other thing, I'm not sure. It's just a observation. Chemology exhibit about being home from a trip about Dooder. That's what I got. Ciao for now.